It was just a joke. Emma, stop being so dramatic. Lily's voice echoed through the hallway as I lay at the bottom of the stairs, my head throbbing. My name is Emma Mitchell, and at 16, I had just experienced my sister's latest prank, one that would change everything. I could barely focus on my surroundings, the world spinning as Mom rushed in. What happened? She demanded, looking between me and my 18-year-old sister. She tripped, Lily said quickly, her perfect cheerleader smile in place. You know how clumsy she is. But I hadn't tripped. Lily had pushed me just like she'd been doing for years, small shoves, trips, accidental bumps that always seemed to happen when no one was watching. This time, though, was different. This time, I couldn't just shake it off. My head. I mumbled, trying to sit up. The room tilted dangerously, and I felt bile rising in my throat. I think I need a doctor. Mom's face tightened. Don't be dramatic, Emma. If Lily says you tripped, you tripped. Besides, your father has an important dinner tonight with his partners. We can't have any disruptions. That was always the response. Don't make waves. Don't cause problems. Don't embarrass the family. Lily was the star, the perfect daughter who could do no wrong. Captain of the cheerleading squad, straight A student, Dad's pride and joy. I was just Emma, the quiet one, the problem. But as I tried to stand, my legs gave out. The last thing I heard was Lily's annoyed sigh before everything went black. I woke up in the emergency room, the harsh fluorescent lights making my head pound even more. Mom sat beside me, typing frantically on her phone while Dad paced, clearly annoyed about missing his dinner. She's always doing this, he muttered, always finding ways to draw attention. The doctor walked in, his expression serious. We need to run some tests, he said, looking at my parents. Her symptoms are concerning. Tests? Mom's head snapped up. Is that really necessary? She just had a little fall. The doctor, Dr. Stevens, according to his name tag, frowned. A fall that resulted in loss of consciousness is never little, Mrs. Mitchell. We need to run an MRI to check for bleeding or swelling. No, Dad stepped forward. We have excellent private doctors. We'll have them look at her tomorrow. But Dr. Stevens stood his ground. This isn't optional. As Emma's treating physician, I'm ordering these tests now. He turned to me, his voice gentler. Can you tell me exactly what happened? I opened my mouth, then caught Mom's warning glare. The familiar pressure closed in. Protect the family, keep quiet, don't make waves. I tripped, I whispered, hating myself for the lie. Dr. Stevens didn't look convinced. Any dizziness before the fall? Has this happened before? Before I could answer, Lily burst into the room, still in her cheerleading uniform. Oh my God, Emma, I was so worried. She rushed to my bedside, grabbing my hand with perfectly manicured fingers, the same fingers that had pushed me hours earlier. When you fell, I was so scared. The doctor watched this performance with narrowed eyes. You saw the fall. Of course. Lily's voice dripped with concern. She was walking upstairs, totally lost in her own world like usual, and just slipped. I tried to catch her, but it happened so fast. I felt sick, and not just from the concussion. This was Lily's specialty, twisting everything to make herself look like the caring sister while making me seem incompetent. The MRI will tell us more, Dr. Stevens said firmly, making notes in my chart. I'll send someone to take you to radiology shortly. After he left, Dad turned to me, his face stern. Emma, this is ridiculous. Do you know how much this is going to cost? And for what? A little bump on the head. I'm sorry, I whispered, the words automatic after years of apologizing for existing. You should be, Lily snapped, dropping the caring sister act now that the doctor was gone. Dad's missing an important dinner because of your attention-seeking. Mom stood up, smoothing her designer dress. When we get home, we're going to have a serious discussion about your behavior, Emma. This constant disruption of our family has to stop. I closed my eyes, letting their words wash over me, but something felt different this time. Maybe it was the pounding in my head, or maybe it was years of suppressed anger finally reaching its limit. When the nurse came to take me to radiology, my family stayed behind, probably already crafting the story they'd tell everyone about my latest dramatic episode. But as I lay in the MRI machine, listening to its rhythmic humming, I made a decision. Whatever these results showed, I wouldn't stay quiet this time. I had no idea that the images being taken would crack open years of carefully maintained family secrets, or that Dr. Stevens' next words would change everything. Sometimes the truth speaks loudest through medical evidence, and my brain was about to tell a story my family couldn't silence. The MRI results came back faster than expected. I was sitting up in the hospital bed, trying to ignore my throbbing head while Mom texted furiously and Dad complained about his missed dinner. Lily had gone to the cafeteria, probably to craft her social media post about being such a devoted sister. Dr. Stevens walked in, holding my scans. But he wasn't alone. A woman in a crisp suit followed him, her expression serious. "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell," Dr. Stevens said, his tone clipped. "This is Ms. Torres from Child Protective Services." The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. Mom's phone dropped to her lap, and Dad stopped pacing. "CPS?" Mom stood up, smoothing her dress nervously. "Surely that's not necessary. Emma had a minor fall." Dr. Stevens placed the scans on the light board. "Minor?" His voice was controlled but tight. "These images show not just today's injury, but evidence of multiple previous head traumas. Some appear quite recent, others older." I felt the blood drain from my face. The headaches I'd had for months, the dizzy spells I'd been told to stop exaggerating. They'd all left their marks. "That's ridiculous," Dad blustered. "Emma's just clumsy. Always has been." Miss Torres stepped forward. "Emma, would you feel comfortable speaking with me privately?" Before I could answer, Lily burst back into the room. "What's going on?" She took in the scene, her actress's instincts kicking in. "Oh my God, is Emma okay? I'm so worried about my little sister." "Miss Mitchell," Dr. Stevens addressed Lily directly, "you said you witnessed today's fall." "Yes." Lily nodded eagerly. "She tripped, like always. I tried to catch her, but—" "That's interesting," Ms. Torres interrupted, "because the hospital security footage shows something quite different." The silence in the room was deafening. "Security footage," Mom whispered. Dr. Stevens clicked a button, and a small screen in the corner flickered to life. There it was, in stark black and white. Lily following me up the stairs, her hand reaching out, the deliberate push. No accident. No tripping. Just malice. "No," Lily's perfect composure cracked. "That's not, you can't." "We have more," Miss Torres said quietly. "The school provided their security footage after our call. 2 months ago, by the gymnasium. 3 weeks ago, in the parking lot. Pattern behavior, Miss Mitchell." I watched as my family's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Mom's hands trembled as she gripped her designer purse. Dad's face had gone ashen. And Lily, perfect golden Lily, looked like a stranger, her beautiful features twisted in fury. "She deserved it," Lily suddenly screamed, making everyone jump. "Little Miss Perfect grades, always making me look bad. Do you know how hard it is competing with her? Mom and Dad might not see it, but I do. She thinks she's better than me." "Lily, be quiet," Mom hissed, but it was too late. Better grades, better at art, better at everything. But I fixed it, didn't I? Every time she had a big test coming up, every time she had an art show or a music recital, just a little accident to throw her off. "Can't outshine me if you can't think straight, can you, Emma?" Her words hit me like physical blows. All those times I'd mysteriously gotten sick before important events, the headaches that made me miss tests, the dizzy spells that kept me from performing, they hadn't been coincidences. "Miss Mitchell," Miss Torres's voice cut through Lily's rant, "you're admitting to deliberately causing harm to your sister." "No, she's not," Dad stepped in. "She's just upset. This is a family matter. We'll handle it internally." "Not anymore," Dr. Stevens said firmly. "These injuries could have killed her. One more hit in the wrong place." He shook his head. "This stops today." I looked at my family, really looked at them. Mom, still trying to minimize the situation. Dad, calculating the damage to his reputation. And Lily, my sister, who'd been systematically hurting me for years while they looked the other way. "Emma," Miss Torres said gently, "would you like to tell us your side now?" For the first time in years, I felt strength flowing into my voice. The MRI had shown what I could never prove, had given weight to all my ignored complaints. The evidence was literally in black and white, and not even my family could deny it anymore. "Yes," I said, sitting up straighter despite my headache. "I think it's time I told you everything." Lily lunged forward, but a security guard I hadn't noticed blocked her path. "You little snitch," she snarled. "After everything we've done for you." "Miss Mitchell." Miss Torres's voice hardened. "I suggest you stop talking now. The police are already on their way." The word police seemed to finally break through my parents' denial. Mom started crying, not for me, but for the scandal this would cause. Dad pulled out his phone, probably calling his lawyer. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care about their reactions. The truth was out, and I was ready to tell my story. Sometimes it takes a medical scan to reveal what's broken, not just in bodies, but in families too. The 6 months following that day in the hospital changed everything. Lily was charged with assault and sentenced to mandatory psychiatric counseling. My parents, faced with overwhelming evidence and public scrutiny, couldn't sweep this under the rug like they'd done with everything else. I moved in with my Aunt Sarah, Mom's estranged sister who left the family years ago, refusing to play their perfect family game. She lived just outside the city, in a cozy house filled with art and music, everything my parents had dismissed as impractical. "Your room is ready," she'd said the day I arrived, leading me to a space painted in soft blues and greens. "And Emma, here, you can be yourself." The neurologist I now saw regularly confirmed what Dr. Stevens had suspected. Years of accidents had left their mark. The headaches and dizzy spells would take time to resolve. But for the first time, I was getting real medical care instead of being told to stop exaggerating. My parents tried to maintain control through their lawyers, but Aunt Sarah fought back fiercely. "They lost the right to make decisions when they ignored years of abuse," she told the judge. The court agreed. The hardest part wasn't the recovery or the legal battles. It was facing my classmates after everything came out. But something unexpected happened. People I barely knew came forward with their own stories of witnessing Lily's behavior. "I saw her trip you in the cafeteria last year," one girl told me. "I wanted to say something, but she was Lily Mitchell, you know." "My art teacher, Mrs. Reynolds, brought me my old sketchbooks. I always wondered why you stopped coming to art club," she said softly. "Now I understand. When you're ready, your spot is still here." Slowly, I started reclaiming pieces of myself. The headaches began to fade with proper treatment. My grades, already good despite Lily's interference, improved even more. I joined the art club again, and my paintings started winning competitions, the very thing Lily had tried to prevent. One afternoon, as I was working on a particularly difficult piece in the school art studio, my phone buzzed with a text from Lily. It was the first contact since that day in the hospital. "I'm sorry," it read. "The counselor says I need to make amends. Can we talk?" I stared at the message, paint dripping from my brush onto the newspaper below. Aunt Sarah had taught me about boundaries, about not letting others dictate my healing process. "No," I typed back. "I'm not ready. Maybe someday, but not now." It felt powerful being able to say no, to choose myself first. My parents were a different story. They still tried to control the narrative, telling their country club friends that Lily was away at school rather than in court-mandated therapy. Mom sent occasional texts about keeping up appearances and forgiving family. Dad's lawyer contacted Aunt Sarah about maintaining family unity. But their words had lost their power over me. The MRI scans had shown more than just physical trauma. They'd exposed the cracks in our family's perfect facade, cracks that had always been there, hidden beneath forced smiles and silent compliance. 1 year after that fateful day on the stairs, I stood in front of an audience at the state art competition, accepting first place for my series titled Invisible Wounds, abstract pieces that captured the experience of hidden trauma and healing. As I gave my acceptance speech, I saw my parents in the back of the room. They hadn't been invited, but of course they came. Appearance was everything to them. Mom wore her perfect smile, probably already planning how to spin this into a story of family triumph over adversity. But I wasn't playing their game anymore. My speech wasn't about family unity or forgiveness. It was about finding your voice, about the strength that comes from speaking truth, and about the healing that can only begin when you stop hiding your wounds. Art, I told the audience, shows us what we sometimes can't say in words. Every piece tells a story, not just of pain, but of survival. Afterward, Aunt Sarah hugged me tight. "Your mother tried to talk to me," she said. "Asked when you'd be coming home." I looked around the gallery at my paintings. Bright colors emerging from darkness, broken patterns were forming into something new and stronger. I am home, I replied. That evening, as I added my competition medal to the corkboard in my new room, I thought about how sometimes the worst breaks create the strongest healing. The MRI had shown the damage Lely had done to my brain, but it had also broken open the silence that had allowed the abuse to continue. My latest painting sat on an easel by the window, a self-portrait, not in physical form, but in abstract swirls of color. In it, the darkness was still there, but it didn't dominate anymore. Instead, it was just one part of a larger, more beautiful whole. Dr. Stevens had said the brain has an amazing capacity to heal, given the right conditions. He was right, not just about brains, but about people too. Sometimes you have to break free to become whole again.